At exactly 2:17 a.m., a young man sat alone on a hospital bench, staring at his hands. Hands that still smelled like expensive perfume and regret. 3 hours earlier, he had walked out of a mansion guarded by iron gates and silent cameras. No one chased him. No one stopped him. But something followed him all the way to the hospital. Shame. Because to save his mother's life, he had crossed a line he swore he never would. He had spent the night with a woman old enough to be his grandmother. A woman who paid him in survival. And now, sitting in that cold hallway, waiting to hear if his mother would live, Daniel wondered if some prices are too high, even for love. Stay with me till the end, because this is not just a story about desperation. It's about the choices we make when everything we love hangs in the balance. And the question we all avoid asking, what wouldn't you do to save the person who gave you life? Before we go deeper into Daniel's story, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Because the stories we tell here aren't just entertainment. They're mirrors. And sometimes, what we see reflected back changes everything we thought we knew about right and wrong. His name was Daniel Rivera. 22 years old. A junior at State University studying pre-med. He had the kind of face that made people trust him, soft brown eyes, a quiet smile, the look of someone who listened more than he spoke. He lived in a one-bedroom apartment on the east side of town, the kind of neighborhood where car alarms were lullabies and gunshots were punctuation marks in the night. But Daniel didn't complain. He had learned early that complaining was a luxury for people with options. His father had died when Daniel was 17. Not in some dramatic accident. Not suddenly. But slowly, the way poverty kills people. Diabetes that went untreated because insulin cost more than groceries. Then the infection. Then the amputation. Then the hospital bills that buried them deeper than any grave ever could. Daniel's father, Marcus, had been a mechanic. Good with his hands. Better with people. He could fix anything except the system that was designed to break men like him. On the night Marcus died, Daniel's mother, Linda, had held her son's hand in that same hospital where Daniel now sat, and she had whispered through tears, "Promise me something, baby. Promise me you'll never give up on your dreams. Your father wanted you to be the first Rivera to graduate college. Promise me you'll finish. No matter what." Daniel had promised. He had looked into his mother's red, swollen eyes and sworn he would make it. That he would become a doctor. That he would save people the way no one had saved his father. But promises are expensive. And Daniel was about to learn just how much they could cost. 5 years after burying his father, Daniel was drowning. Student loans. Rent. Textbooks that cost $300 each. He worked 3 jobs. Morning shift at a coffee shop. Afternoons tutoring kids in chemistry. Night stocking shelves at a 24-hour grocery store. He slept 4 hours on good nights. 3 on bad ones. His grades were slipping. His body was failing. But he kept going because of that promise. Because his mother had sacrificed everything to keep him in school after his father died. She had taken a job cleaning office buildings downtown. 62 years old, on her knees scrubbing toilets in corporate towers where people made more in an hour than she made in a month. She never complained. Never asked him to quit school and get a real job. She just smiled every time he called, asked about his classes, told him how proud his father would be. Daniel loved her more than he loved breathing. Which is why when she collapsed at work on a Tuesday afternoon in October, his entire world stopped. The call came while he was in organic chemistry. His phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. "Is this Daniel Rivera?" a woman's voice asked. Professional. Clipped. "Yes, who is this?" "This is Memorial Hospital. Your mother, Linda Rivera, was brought in by ambulance about 20 minutes ago. You're listed as her emergency contact. You need to come now. Daniel's textbook hit the floor. He ran. Didn't grab his bag. Didn't tell the professor. Just ran. The hospital was 4 miles away. He sprinted the first mile before his lungs gave out. Then he caught a bus, bouncing his leg the entire ride, texting his mother's phone over and over. Mom. Mom, please answer. Mom, I'm coming. Nothing. When he burst through the emergency room doors, a nurse stopped him. Linda Rivera, he gasped. My mom. Where is she? The nurse checked her computer. She's in examination room 7. But you can't go back yet. The doctor is with her now. What happened? Is she okay? The nurse's face softened in that way medical professionals do when the news isn't good. The doctor will explain everything. Please, have a seat. Someone will come get you soon. Soon turned out to be 90 minutes. 90 minutes of Daniel sitting in a waiting room that smelled like disinfectant and fear, watching other families cry, watching other families celebrate, wondering which category he would fall into. Finally, a doctor appeared. Young. Asian. Tired. Eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. Daniel Rivera. Daniel jumped up. That's me. How is she? Can I see her? Come with me. They walked down a hallway too bright and too white. The doctor spoke as they walked. Your mother suffered a cardiac event at her workplace. When the paramedics arrived, she was in atrial fibrillation. We've stabilized her for now, but I need to be honest with you. The tests show significant damage to her heart. She has advanced congestive heart failure. The words hit Daniel like physical blows. But she can recover, right? With treatment. The doctor stopped outside a room. Mr. Rivera, your mother needs surgery. A valve replacement at minimum, possibly more depending on what we find. Without it, she has maybe 6 weeks. Maybe less. Okay. Okay, so we do the surgery. When can you schedule it? The doctor's expression shifted. That look again. The one that said everything before words could. Your mother's insurance is through her employer. The coverage is minimal. The surgery costs approximately $78,000. Her insurance will cover maybe 20%. The rest would be out of pocket. We need a 50% deposit before we can schedule the procedure. Daniel felt the floor tilt. 50%? That's almost $40,000. I know. I'm sorry. There are payment plans, financing options, but the hospital requires the deposit up front. It's policy. That's insane. She'll die without the surgery. I know. And I'm truly sorry. But my hands are tied. Talk to the financial services office. They might be able to help. In the meantime, your mother is stable. You can see her now. The doctor pushed open the door and left Daniel standing there, numb. Inside, his mother lay in a hospital bed, tubes and wires connecting her to machines that beeped steadily. She looked smaller than he remembered. Fragile. Gray. Her eyes opened when he entered. Danny. Her voice was weak but warm. Hey, Mama. He pulled a chair close and took her hand. It felt cold. How you feeling? Tired. She smiled. But I'm okay. Don't look so worried. Mom, the doctor said you need surgery. I know, baby. They told me. Her thumb rubbed the back of his hand. But don't you stress about that. God will provide. He always does. Daniel's throat tightened. Mom, I'm going to figure this out. I promise. Baby, you focus on school. That's what matters. I'll be fine. But she wouldn't be fine. And they both knew it. Daniel sat with her until she fell asleep. Then he walked out into the hallway and let himself break. He slid down the wall, buried his face in his hands, and cried. Silently. The kind of crying men do when they think no one is watching. The kind that comes from a place deeper than sadness. Despair. For the next 3 days, Daniel lived between the hospital and the financial services office. He applied for medical loans. Denied. Credit too poor. He called every charity, every foundation, every church program he could find online. Some offered a few $100s. Most offered prayers. He started a fundraising page online. It raised $1,200 in 48 hours. Which left him needing $38,800 more. His mother's condition worsened. The doctors said they couldn't wait much longer. Daniel stopped going to class. Stopped going to work. He just sat in that hospital, watching his mother fade, feeling like he was 17 again, watching his father die because they couldn't afford to save him. History repeating. On the 4th night, Daniel sat in a hospital stairwell at 2 in the morning. The place where people go when they can't cry in public anymore. He had his head between his knees, shaking, when he heard footsteps. Heels clicking on concrete. He looked up. A woman stood at the landing above him. 60, maybe older. Silver hair pulled back in a tight bun. Sharp cheekbones. Dark eyes that seemed to see through walls. She wore an expensive black coat and carried herself like someone who had never asked permission for anything in her life. She looked down at Daniel. You look like a young man carrying an old man's burden. Daniel wiped his face quickly. I'm fine. No, you're not. She descended the stairs slowly, deliberately. I've been watching you the last few nights. Sitting with the woman in room 304. Your mother, I assume. Who are you? Someone who recognizes desperation when she sees it. She sat on the step beside him. Close enough to talk quietly. Far enough to not feel threatening. How much do you need? Daniel's defenses went up. I don't know what you're talking about. For the surgery. How much? Why do you care? Curiosity. Boredom. Does it matter? She pulled out a business card and handed it to him. Plain white. Just a phone number printed in black. Call me tomorrow. 9 a.m. exactly. Who are you? He asked again. Someone with more money than purpose. She stood. 9 a.m., Daniel. Don't be late. She walked away before he could ask how she knew his name. Daniel sat there holding the card, feeling like he'd just been offered a deal by the devil. But when you're drowning, you don't ask questions about the hand pulling you up. You just grab it. Daniel didn't sleep that night. He sat in the hospital cafeteria, drinking burnt coffee, staring at the business card. Part of him wanted to throw it away. Strange women don't offer money to desperate men without wanting something in return. But another part of him, the part that watched his mother's heart monitor skip beats, the part that remembered his father's last words, that part told him to make the call. At 8:47 a.m., he stepped outside and dialed. She answered on the first ring. Daniel. Not a question. A statement. How do you know my name? I know many things. Are you interested in my help, or did you call to interrogate me? I need to know what you want. In person. Meet me at the Rosewood. Noon. Come alone. The line went dead. The Rosewood was a restaurant Daniel had only seen from the outside. The kind of place where politicians and CEOs made decisions that affected people like him. Where appetizers cost $40 and the waiters looked like they earned more than his mother made in a year. He showed up at 11:55 wearing the only dress shirt he owned and pants he'd ironed in the hospital bathroom. He felt like an imposter the moment he walked through the door. The host looked him up and down. "Can I help you?" "I'm meeting someone." "A woman. Silver hair." Recognition flickered in the host's eyes. "Ah. Ms. Cross. Right this way." He led Daniel through the restaurant to a private corner booth. She was already there. Sitting with perfect posture, wearing a charcoal suit that probably cost more than Daniel's entire wardrobe. She had a glass of red wine in front of her and was reading something on a tablet. She looked up when Daniel approached. "Sit." He sat. The host disappeared. "You're nervous," she observed. "Wouldn't you be?" "No. But then again, I'm not the one who needs something." She closed the tablet and folded her hands. "Let's skip the pleasantries. Your name is Daniel Marcus Rivera. 22 years old. Pre-med student at State with a 3.4 GPA, down from a 3.8 last year. You work 3 jobs. Your father died of complications from diabetes 5 years ago, leaving your family with $63,000 in medical debt, most of which is still unpaid. Your mother, Linda, is 57 years old, works for Morrison Cleaning Services, and is currently in Memorial Hospital with congestive heart failure. She needs surgery that costs $78,000. Her insurance covers less than 20%. You have no savings, maxed out credit cards, and no family capable of helping. You've applied for 17 different loans in the past 4 days. All denied. Am I missing anything?" Daniel's blood ran cold. "How do you know all that? Does it matter?" "Yes." "Then let's say I'm someone who pays attention. And someone who has resources." She leaned back. "I can pay for your mother's surgery. Every dollar. I can have her scheduled with the best cardiac team in the state by tomorrow morning. Money is not an obstacle for me." Daniel's heart raced. "Why would you do that?" "Because I'm interested in human behavior. Specifically, what people are willing to sacrifice when everything they love is on the line." She signaled the waiter, who appeared instantly. "Bring the young man the ribeye. Medium rare. And another glass of the Bordeaux." "I'm not hungry," Daniel said. "You haven't eaten a proper meal in 4 days. Don't insult me." The waiter left. Evelyn, that's what the host had called her, Miss Cross, studied Daniel like he was a specimen under glass. "I'm going to make you an offer, Daniel. And I want you to listen to the entire thing before you respond. Can you do that?" Daniel nodded. "I will pay for your mother's surgery. I will also pay off your family's medical debt from your father. All of it. $63,000. Gone. Additionally, I will deposit $50,000 into an account in your name for living expenses, tuition, whatever you need to finish school without working yourself to death. That's a total of approximately $191,000. Daniel couldn't breathe. In exchange, Evelyn continued, her voice steady and calm, "You will spend 1 night with me. At my home. You will arrive at 8 p.m. You will leave at 8 a.m. What happens during those 12 hours is between us and no one else. No cameras. No recordings. No witnesses. Just a transaction between 2 consenting adults." The words hit Daniel like cold water. "You want me to sleep with you? I want you to give me 12 hours of your time. What we do with those hours is negotiable. This is prostitution." "No. Prostitution is illegal. This is a private arrangement between 2 adults. No money changes hands publicly. You're not advertising services. I'm not soliciting on a street corner. Legally, I'm simply someone giving a gift to someone in need, and you're simply spending time with a generous benefactor." Daniel's hands shook. "This is insane. This is practical." She took a sip of wine. "You're young. Reasonably attractive. Educated. You have something I want, which is youth and presence. I have something you need, which is money. This is how the world works, Daniel. Every relationship is a transaction. I'm just being honest about the terms. I'm not gay. I'm not, I've never. I'm not asking you to be anything you're not. I'm asking you to make a choice. Your mother lives, your family debt disappears, your future becomes possible. Or you walk away, maintain your pride, and watch your mother die knowing you could have saved her. The food arrived. Daniel stared at the steak like it was a foreign object. How do I know you'll actually pay? Evelyn reached into her purse and pulled out her phone. She tapped the screen a few times, then turned it toward Daniel. It showed a bank account. Her bank account. The balance read, $47,382,449.23. Money, she said, is not an issue for me. I could pay for 1,000 surgeries and never notice. This isn't about what I can afford. It's about what you're willing to do. She put the phone away. I'm 62 years old, Daniel. I've built companies. I've buried a husband and a son. I've lived long enough to know that power isn't about what you have. It's about what you can make people do. And right now, I have power over you. Not because I'm stronger or smarter, but because I have something you desperately need. That's what I'm interested in. The choice. The moment you decide how much your principles cost. Daniel felt sick. You're playing with people's lives. No. Life is playing with people. I'm just the one offering you a way to win. She cut into her own meal, taking a bite, chewing slowly. The hospital needs a deposit by 6 p.m. today, or they stop treatment and discharge your mother to hospice care. It's now 12:34. You have 5.5 hours to decide. And if I say no? Then you say no. I go back to my life. You go back to yours. Your mother dies. You drop out of school. You spend the next 20 years paying off debt and wondering what if. That's also a choice. Daniel's vision blurred. I need time to think. You have until 5 p.m. Text me at this number. Just say yes or no. If yes, a car will pick you up at your apartment at 7:45 tonight. If no, then I wish you the best, and we never speak again. She stood, dropping a black credit card on the table. Lunch is on me. Eat. You'll need your strength, regardless of what you decide. Then she walked out, leaving Daniel sitting alone in a booth that cost more per hour than he made in a week. Daniel sat in that restaurant for an hour. The steak went cold. He couldn't taste anything anyway. His mind raced through every possible option, every angle, every escape route. He could start another fundraiser. He could sell everything he owned. He could rob a bank. None of it added up. None of it solved the problem. The problem was simple: his mother needed $78,000 by tomorrow, or she would die. And a stranger had just offered him that money in exchange for one night. One night. 12 hours. What really happened in 12 hours? People slept for 8 of them. That left 4 hours of being awake. 4 hours of doing something he didn't want to do with someone he didn't know. Was that worse than watching his mother die? Was his dignity worth more than her life? He thought about his father. What would Marcus say? His father had been a proud man. The kind who would rather starve than accept charity. But he'd also been a man who loved his wife more than pride. On his deathbed, Marcus had gripped Daniel's hand and whispered, "Take care of your mother. Promise me. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes." Did that include this? Daniel left the restaurant and walked aimlessly through downtown. Past shops he'd never enter and buildings he'd never work in. He ended up at a church. He wasn't religious, hadn't been since his father died, and he realized God didn't intervene in matters of money. But he went inside anyway. Sat in the back pew. Stared at the cross. I don't know if you're listening, he whispered to the empty space. But if you are, I need a sign. I need to know if I'm about to make the worst mistake of my life or the only choice that matters. No voice answered. No light shined down. Just silence and the smell of old wood. He checked his phone. 2:43 p.m. 3 hours until the deadline. He called his best friend, Marcus. Named after his father. They'd been friends since middle school. Danny, where have you been, man? You missed Professor Chen's exam. My mom's in the hospital. Oh shit. Is she okay? She needs surgery. It's expensive. Damn. How much? More than I have. Silence on the line. Then, how much do you need? I've got like 800 saved. It's yours. Daniel's eyes burned. Thanks, man. But it's more than that. How much more? 78,000. Marcus whistled low. That's insane. What are you going to do? I don't know. He almost told Marcus about the offer. Almost said the words out loud. But shame stopped his throat. I'll figure it out. Let me know if I can help, alright? Anything. I will. Thanks, brother. He hung up and checked the time. 3:01 p.m. He went back to the hospital. Found his mother sleeping. Sat beside her bed and watched her breathe. She looked peaceful. Like she wasn't dying. Like everything was normal. Her eyes fluttered open. Danny. You're still here. Where else would I be? She smiled weakly. School. You should be in class. I'm where I need to be. She reached for his hand. He took it. I've been thinking, she said softly. About your father. About the day he asked me to marry him. Yeah. We were so poor, baby. He didn't have money for a ring. Didn't have money for anything. But he looked at me and said, I can't give you much, but I can give you everything I am. And he did. Every day of our marriage, he gave me everything. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I don't want you to throw away your life trying to save mine. I've lived. I've loved. I've raised a son I'm proud of. That's enough. Mom, don't talk like that. Listen to me. Her grip tightened. If my time is up, it's up. God has a plan. But you have so much life ahead of you. Don't sacrifice your future for my past. You're not the past. You're everything. And you're my son. My beautiful, smart, kind son. Your father and I didn't raise you so you could watch us die and feel guilty. We raised you to live. To be more than we were. Promise me you'll do that. No matter what happens. Daniel couldn't speak. He just nodded, tears streaming. His mother closed her eyes. I'm tired, baby. I think I'll sleep a little. Okay, Mama. I'll be right here. Within minutes, her breathing deepened. Daniel sat there holding her hand, feeling the weight of impossible choices. At 4:47 p.m., he stepped into the hallway and pulled out his phone. He stared at the number Evelyn had given him. His hands shook. He thought about his father's promise. About his mother's sacrifice. About the person he thought he was and the person he might have to become. He typed one word, yes. He stared at it for a full minute before hitting send. The response came instantly. Car arrives at 7:45. Address confirmed. Where's something comfortable? Daniel felt like he'd just signed away his soul. Maybe he had. Daniel left the hospital at 5:30. He went back to his apartment in a daze, moving through the world like a ghost. His apartment was a studio. 400 square feet of thrift store furniture and textbooks. He stood in the shower until the water ran cold, scrubbing his skin like he could wash away what he was about to do. He couldn't. He dressed in jeans and a plain black t-shirt. Comfortable, she'd said. Like he was going to a movie, not selling himself. His phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number, confirming pickup at 7:45 p.m. Black sedan. License plate 4XK9281. Please be ready. He sat on his bed and stared at the wall. Part of him hoped he'd feel different. Resolved. At peace with the choice. Instead, he felt numb. Hollowed out. Like he was watching someone else's life. At 7:30, he received a notification from his bank. A deposit. $50,000. The living expenses she'd promised. She was keeping her word. The money was real. Which meant everything else would be too. At 7:44, he went downstairs. The black sedan was already there. Idling at the curb. Tinted windows. Quiet engine. He opened the back door and climbed in. The driver was a woman. Middle-aged. Professional. She didn't speak. Didn't ask questions. Just pulled away from the curb and drove. They headed north, out of the city, into neighborhoods that didn't have potholes or graffiti. Tree-lined streets. Houses with gates. Old money sleeping behind brick walls. 20 minutes later, they turned onto a private road. At the end sat a mansion. Georgian style. White columns. Manicured lawns. The kind of place that existed in movies, not real life. The car stopped at the front entrance. The driver spoke for the first time. She's expecting you. Front door is open. Daniel got out. His legs felt weak. The car drove away, leaving him standing alone in a circular driveway with a fountain in the middle. He looked up at the house. Lights glowed in downstairs windows. Somewhere inside, she was waiting. He could still leave. Call an Uber. Go back to the hospital. Tell his mother he tried everything and failed. Live with honor and watch her die. Or he could walk through that door. Cross a line he'd never uncross. Become someone he'd promised himself he'd never be. But save the person who'd given him life. Daniel climbed the steps. The door opened before he could knock. Evelyn stood there. She'd changed. She wore simple black slacks and a white silk blouse. Her hair was down now, silver strands falling past her shoulders. She looked softer. Almost normal. Almost. Come in, Daniel. He stepped inside. The door closed behind him with a sound like a vault ceiling. The house was beautiful in the way museums are beautiful. Impressive but cold. Marble floors. High ceilings. Art on walls that probably cost more than his mother's surgery. Everything was perfectly placed. Nothing felt lived in. Would you like something to drink? Evelyn asked, walking toward what appeared to be a living room. No. Thank you. Suit yourself. She poured herself a glass of red wine from a bar cart that looked like it belonged in a hotel. Daniel stood awkwardly near the entrance, unsure what to do with his hands. Evelyn gestured to a leather couch. Sit. You look like you're about to run. I feel like I am. But you won't. Because you need what I'm offering more than you need your pride. She sat in a chair across from him. Let's establish some ground rules. First, everything that happens here stays here. You don't tell friends, family, therapists, no one. If you violate that, there will be legal consequences. I've had you sign an NDA electronically. Check your email. Daniel pulled out his phone. Sure enough, there was an email from a law firm with an attached document. Non-disclosure agreement. He'd apparently agreed to it when he texted yes. His signature was already on it, pulled from some digital database. Second, Evelyn continued, you're free to leave at any time. But if you leave before 8 a.m., the agreement is void. No money. No surgery. Your mother's deposit will be reversed. Understood? Daniel nodded. Third, we're both adults. Whatever happens tonight happens because we both agree to it. I'm not going to force you to do anything. But I am going to ask. And you're going to have to decide what you're willing to say yes to. She took a sip of wine. Questions? Why me? Daniel asked. Why not hire an actual escort? Someone who does this professionally. Because professionals are performing. They're paid to pretend. I don't want pretending. I want to see what someone does when they're truly desperate. When every instinct is screaming at them to run, but they stay anyway. That interests me. That's sick. That's honest. She set down her glass. Most people lie about power. They pretend it doesn't exist or that it's somehow noble. But power is just leverage. I have it. You don't. That dynamic fascinates me. How far will you go? Where's your line? And what does it cost you to cross it? Daniel's jaw clenched. You think you know me. I think I know people. And I think you're about to learn something about yourself you wish you didn't. She stood. Come. Let me show you the house. She led him through rooms that blurred together. A dining room with a table that could seat 20. A library with floor-to-ceiling books. A kitchen that looked like it belonged in a restaurant. Everything was immaculate. Everything was empty. Do you live here alone? Daniel asked. Yes. That's sad. Evelyn glanced at him. Is it? Or is it peaceful? It's lonely. Loneliness is just having time to think without distractions. Most people are terrified of it. I prefer it. They climbed a staircase to the second floor. She opened a door. This is the guest room. If at any point you need space, you can come here. There's a lock on the inside. I won't disturb you. Daniel looked inside. It was bigger than his entire apartment. King-sized bed. Sitting area. Fireplace. And your room? He asked. Down the hall. She closed the guest room door and continued walking. She stopped at another door. Opened it. This room was different. Darker. More personal. A large bed with black sheets. Bookshelves. A desk with a laptop. Photos on the dresser. This is where I sleep, Evelyn said. This is where you'll sleep tonight, if it comes to that. Daniel stared at the bed. It suddenly felt real. All of it. I don't know if I can do this, he whispered. Then don't. Her voice was calm. Walk downstairs. Out the door. Call yourself an Uber. Go back to your life. I'm not holding you prisoner. But my mom will die. Yes. That's the choice. And it's yours to make. I'm just the circumstance. You're the decision. She walked to the window and looked out at the dark grounds. Do you know what my son's name was? The sudden shift caught Daniel off guard. What? My son. The one I mentioned at the restaurant. His name was Michael. I didn't know you had a son. I don't. Not anymore. He died 3 years ago. Overdose. Fentanyl-laced heroin. Her voice was flat. Factual. Like she was reading a weather report. I'm sorry. Are you? Or are you just saying what you think you should say? Daniel didn't answer. Evelyn turned to face him. Michael was 23. Brilliant. Beautiful. Tortured. He was gay, and he grew up in a family that didn't talk about things like that. My husband, his father, was old-fashioned. Traditional. He wanted a son who played football and dated cheerleaders. Michael wanted to paint and fall in love with boys. So he hid. And the hiding ate him alive. She walked to her dresser and picked up one of the photos. A young man with dark hair and soft eyes. He looked happy in the picture. Looked alive. He left a note, Evelyn said. It was only one sentence. I'm tired of being afraid. That's all. No explanation. No goodbye. Just that. She put the photo down. I spent a year in therapy trying to understand. My therapist said Michael felt powerless. That he couldn't be who he was, so he chose not to be at all. And I realized something. Power isn't about money or status. It's about choice. Michael felt like he had no choices. So he made the only one he thought he had left. She looked at Daniel. You have a choice right now. It's not a good choice. It's not a fair choice. But it's yours. And whatever you decide, you'll live with it. That's what power really is. Living with what you choose. Daniel felt tears on his face. He didn't wipe them away. I don't want to be here. I know. I don't want to do this. I know. But I'm going to. Because I can't let her die. Evelyn nodded slowly. Then you've made your choice. She walked past him, toward the door. I'm going to take a shower. When I come out, we'll talk about what happens next. There's wine downstairs if you need it. Or you can sit in the guest room. Or you can leave. It's up to you. She disappeared into an adjoining bathroom. Daniel heard water start running. He stood in her bedroom, surrounded by the life of a dead son and the wealth of a woman who traded money for control, and he wondered if this was what hell felt like. Not fire and torture. Just standing in a place you never wanted to be, knowing you chose to be there. If you're still watching at this point, drop a comment with, I'm still here. Let's see who's truly following this shocking story. Because what happens next is going to challenge everything you think you know about right, wrong, and the choices we make when everything we love is on the line. Daniel went downstairs. He found the wine she'd mentioned. Poured a glass. Drank it in 3 swallows. Poured another. He wasn't a drinker. Didn't like how alcohol made him feel out of control. But right now, out of control sounded better than being fully present. He walked around the first floor, looking at art he didn't understand, books he'd never read, a life he'd never have. In the library, he found a photo album on a shelf. He opened it. Pictures of Evelyn. Younger. Smiling. With a man who must have been her husband. With Michael as a baby, as a child, as a teenager. A family that looked normal. Happy. There were photos of Michael playing piano. Michael at his high school graduation. Michael with paint on his hands, standing in front of a canvas. In every photo, he was smiling. But Daniel noticed something. In the later photos, the smile didn't reach his eyes. There was a distance there. A sadness. Like he was performing happiness instead of feeling it. The last photo in the album was Michael at 21. He stood alone in front of a building Daniel didn't recognize. He wasn't smiling in this one. He just stared at the camera with an expression that made Daniel's chest hurt. Resignation. Like he'd already decided something. Daniel closed the album and put it back. He heard footsteps on the stairs. Evelyn appeared, wearing a black silk robe. Her hair was damp. She looked older without makeup. More human. More vulnerable. You found the album, she said. I'm sorry. I was just looking around. It's fine. I left it where you'd find it. She poured herself wine. Did you see the last photo? Yes. That was taken 2 weeks before he died. I didn't know it would be the last photo I'd ever have of him. If I had known, I would have said something different that day. I would have told him he didn't have to be afraid. That I loved him exactly as he was. But I didn't know. So I said nothing. And now I have a photo of my son looking like he'd already left, even though he was still standing there. She sat on the couch. Gestured for Daniel to sit. He did, keeping distance between them. Do you know why I'm telling you this? Evelyn asked. No. Because I want you to understand something. This isn't about sex. I can buy that anywhere. This is about watching someone make a choice they'll never forget. The same way Michael made a choice I'll never forget. I want to see what happens to a person in the moment they cross their own line. Because maybe if I understand that, I can understand what happened to my son. Daniel stared at her. That's twisted. Probably. Grief does that. It twists you. Makes you look for answers in places that don't have them. She took a sip of wine. But here's what I learned, Daniel. People are capable of anything when they're desperate enough. We all have a breaking point. A place where our principles meet our survival instinct, and survival wins. Michael reached his breaking point. You've reached yours. The difference is, you're choosing life. He chose death. And I need to know if choosing life the way you're choosing it is any better. You're using me for some kind of experiment. I'm offering you a transaction. How you process it is your choice. Daniel's hands shook. What do you want from me? Just tell me. Let's get this over with. Evelyn set down her wine glass. Stand up. Daniel stood. His legs felt weak. Come here. He walked toward her. She remained seated, looking up at him. Closer. He stopped a foot away. She reached out and took his hand. Her skin was cool. Dry. She turned his hand over, looking at his palm. You have working hands, she said. Calluses. You're not some soft college kid who's never worked. You've earned everything you have. My mom taught me that. She did well. Evelyn stood, still holding his hand. She was tall. Almost his height. I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to be honest. Can you do that? I don't know. Fair enough. She stepped closer. Have you ever been with an older woman? No. Have you ever been with anyone you weren't attracted to? Daniel's face burned. I don't want to answer that. That's an answer. She released his hand and walked to the window. Here's what's going to happen. We're going to sit. We're going to talk. And depending on how that conversation goes, we may go upstairs. Or you may spend the night in the guest room. Or you may leave. But whatever happens, it happens because you choose it. I'm not going to drag you upstairs. I'm not going to force myself on you. That's not what this is. Then what is this? A test. For both of us. She turned to face him. I want to know if I'm capable of feeling anything anymore. And you want to know if you're capable of doing anything to save someone you love. So let's find out. She walked past him, back to the couch. Sit. Talk to me. Tell me about your father. Daniel didn't want to sit. Didn't want to talk. But he also didn't want to think about what came next. So he sat. And he talked. He told her about Marcus. About how his father used to take him to the auto shop on Saturdays, let him hand over tools, taught him that fixing things was about patience and paying attention. He told her about the diabetes diagnosis. About watching his father inject insulin every morning, knowing each vial cost money they didn't have. About the day the infection started in his foot, and how his father ignored it for 3 weeks because he didn't want to miss work. About the hospital stay. The amputation. The bills that buried them. The way his father apologized on his deathbed for leaving them with debt. Evelyn listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't offer sympathy. Just listened. When Daniel finished, she said, "Your father sounds like he was a good man trapped in a bad system." He was. And your mother is a good woman trapped in the same system. Yes. And you're a good son trying to break free of a system designed to keep people like you trapped forever. Daniel looked at her. Is there a point to this? The point is, you're not here because you're weak. You're here because the world is cruel. And I'm not your enemy. I'm just the person who showed up with a solution you didn't want. She stood and extended her hand. Come upstairs with me. Daniel's heart stopped. I'm not ready. You'll never be ready. That's not how this works. Her hand stayed extended. Waiting. Daniel looked at it. Thought about his mother. About the surgery scheduled for tomorrow morning. About the fact that in his bank account right now sat $50,000 he didn't have yesterday. About the fact that every second he hesitated was a second closer to 8 a.m., and if he left before then, all of it disappeared. He took her hand. She led him upstairs. Down the hallway. Back to her bedroom. She closed the door behind them. The room felt smaller now. The bed felt bigger. Are you going to be sick? She asked. Maybe. There's a bathroom through that door if you need it. Daniel shook his head. He felt like he was outside his body. Watching himself from a distance. Evelyn walked to the bed and sat on the edge. Take off your shirt. Daniel's hands moved to the hem of his shirt. They shook. He pulled it over his head, dropping it on the floor. He stood there, exposed, feeling her eyes on him. You're in good shape, she observed. I work physical jobs. Come here. He walked to the bed. Stood in front of her. She reached out and touched his stomach. Her hand was warm now. She traced the line of muscle there, clinical, like a doctor examining a patient. When's the last time someone touched you? She asked. I don't know. A while. Why? I've been busy. School. Work. My mom. So you've put your entire life on hold. I guess. That's noble. Stupid, but noble. She stood, facing him. I'm going to kiss you now. If you can't handle it, tell me. But if you can, don't pretend. I don't want performance. I want reality. She leaned in. Daniel closed his eyes. Her lips touched his. Soft. Unexpected. The kiss lasted a few seconds. When she pulled back, she studied his face. How do you feel? Like I want to disappear. But you're still here. Yes. Why? Because my mother is worth more than my shame. Evelyn nodded slowly. That's the right answer. What happened next happened in fragments. Moments Daniel would later remember in pieces, like a broken mirror reflecting a scene he didn't want to see. Her robe falling to the floor. His hands, shaking, reaching for her because she asked him to. The feeling of her skin, older, softer than he expected. The sound of her breathing. The way she guided him, told him what to do, where to touch, how to move. He kept his eyes closed most of the time. Tried to be somewhere else. Tried to think of anything except where he was and what he was doing. But his body responded the way bodies respond, betraying his mind, doing what it was designed to do even when his soul screamed to stop. She didn't pretend it was something it wasn't. Didn't moan like women in movies. Didn't act like this was passion. It was transaction. Clinical. A job being done by both parties. When it was over, Daniel rolled away, staring at the ceiling, feeling hollow. Evelyn lay beside him, breathing steadily. After a long silence, she spoke. "You did well." Daniel said nothing. "I'm going to sleep now. You can stay here or go to the guest room. Your choice." She turned her back to him and closed her eyes. Within minutes, her breathing deepened. Daniel lay there for an hour, staring at shadows on the ceiling, feeling like something inside him had died. Eventually, he got up. Got dressed. Went to the guest room. He sat on the edge of the bed and stared at his hands. The same hands his mother had held. The same hands his father had taught to fix things. They felt dirty. He went to the bathroom and scrubbed them until the skin turned red. It didn't help. Daniel didn't sleep. He sat in that guest room watching the clock. 11:47 p.m. 12:23 a.m. 1:16 a.m. Each minute feeling like an hour. At 2:17 a.m., his phone buzzed. A notification from the hospital's financial portal. Payment received, $78,000. Surgery scheduled, 8 a.m. His mother was going to live. He had done it. He had saved her. And all it cost was a piece of himself he'd never get back. At 6:30 a.m., there was a soft knock on the door. "Daniel? Are you awake?" Evelyn's voice. Calm. Like nothing had happened. "Yes. May I come in? It's your house." The door opened. She wore a different robe now. Gray. Her hair was pulled back. She held a cup of coffee. "I thought you might need this." She extended the cup. He took it. "There's breakfast downstairs. Eggs. Toast. Fruit. You should eat before you go." "I'm not hungry." "Eat anyway. You look like you're about to pass out." She sat in the chair near the window. "How are you feeling?" "How do you think I'm feeling?" "Ashamed. Disgusted. Confused. Maybe a little relieved that it's over." She was right on all counts. Daniel drank the coffee. It was good. Better than anything he'd ever made. "Your mother's surgery is in 90 minutes, Evelyn said. "The car will take you straight to the hospital. I've arranged for you to have a private waiting area. The surgeon will update you personally throughout the procedure." "Thank you." The words felt wrong. Thanking her felt like accepting what had happened. Like agreeing it was okay. "You don't have to thank me. This was business." "Is that what you tell yourself?" She smiled slightly. "You're angry. That's good. Anger means you're still you. I was worried you'd break." "Maybe I did." "No. Broken people don't get up. You're sitting here drinking coffee, already thinking about your next move. You're bent. Not broken." Daniel set down the cup. "Can I ask you something?" "Yes." "Did you feel anything last night?" "Anything at all?" Evelyn was quiet for a moment. "Curiosity. Satisfaction that I still could. Sadness that my son never got the chance to be with someone he actually wanted. Guilt that I'm alive and he's not. But desire? Attraction? No. That wasn't the point." "Then what was the point?" "I told you. I wanted to see what people do at their breaking point. And I wanted to feel powerful again. When Michael died, I felt helpless. Completely powerless. I couldn't save him. Couldn't bring him back. Couldn't undo anything. Last night, I had power. Over the situation. Over you. It didn't bring Michael back. But it reminded me that I still exist. That I'm still capable of affecting the world." Daniel's jaw clenched. "You used me." "Yes. The same way you used me. You needed money. I had it. You had youth. I wanted proximity to it. We both got what we came for. I didn't come here. I was forced here by circumstance. Semantics. You made a choice. Own it. Daniel stood. I need to leave. Cars waiting. She stood as well. One more thing before you go. She walked to the dresser and pulled out an envelope. This is for you. I don't want anything else from you. It's not a gift. It's information. She held it out. Take it. Read it later. Or don't. Your choice. Daniel took the envelope. Shoved it in his pocket. I'm leaving now. Daniel. He stopped at the door. You're going to be a good doctor someday. Because you understand what it feels like to be powerless. That empathy will save lives. Don't lose it. He didn't respond. Just walked downstairs, out the door, and into the waiting car. The driver pulled away. Daniel looked back once. Evelyn stood in the doorway, watching him leave. She raised her hand. Not a wave. Just an acknowledgement. Then the car turned a corner, and she disappeared. Daniel arrived at Memorial Hospital at 7:43 a.m. The surgery was already being prepped. A nurse he didn't recognize led him to a private waiting room, just like Evelyn had promised. It had comfortable chairs, coffee, bottles of water, magazines no one read. He sat and stared at the wall. At 8 a.m., the nurse returned. Your mother is in surgery now. Dr. Patel is one of the best. She's in good hands. It should take about 4 to 5 hours. We'll update you every hour. Thank you. The nurse left. Daniel was alone. He pulled out his phone. Saw texts from his friend Marcus. Hey man, checking in. How's your mom? He typed back, in surgery now. Should be okay. Marcus responded immediately, thank God. Let me know if you need anything. I'm here. Daniel put the phone down. He felt like the world's biggest fraud. Everyone thought he was a good son who was just dealing with a tough situation. No one knew what he'd done. What he'd become. He remembered the envelope. Pulled it out of his pocket. Inside was a letter. Handwritten. He unfolded it. Daniel, if you're reading this, the surgery is happening, and you made it through the night. First, know this, your mother will be fine. I hired the best surgeon in the state. Money ensures quality. She'll recover fully if she follows medical advice. Second, I want to explain something I didn't tell you last night. The money I gave you, the $50,000 in your account, it's not a loan. It's yours. But there's a condition. You have to finish school. You have to graduate. You have to become a doctor. If you drop out for any reason, the money gets donated to charity, and your family's medical debt gets reinstated. I'll know if you quit. I have ways of tracking these things. This isn't cruelty. It's insurance. I need to know that what happened last night led to something meaningful. That you didn't just survive, you became more because of it. Third, and this is important, you're going to feel shame. Probably for a long time. You're going to wonder if you're a victim or a perpetrator. If you were exploited or if you exploited the situation. The answer is both. Life isn't clean. Choices aren't binary. You did what you had to do, and you'll live with it. My advice? Don't tell anyone. Not your mother. Not your friends. Not a therapist. Some secrets are too heavy to share. They'll destroy the people you tell more than they'll relieve you. Carry this alone. Learn to live with it. Let it make you stronger instead of bitter. Finally, know this. I didn't do this to hurt you. I did it because I'm trying to understand what my son went through. Michael felt powerless every day of his adult life. He felt like he had to be someone he wasn't to survive. And eventually, the weight of that pretending crushed him. Last night, you pretended. You did something you didn't want to do to survive. And unlike Michael, you're going to get the chance to see if that survival was worth the cost. In 10 years, if you're standing in a hospital wearing a white coat, saving lives, helping people who can't help themselves, remember this night. Remember that you're only there because you were willing to cross a line. And ask yourself if the person you saved, your mother, and all the people you'll save in the future, if they were worth what you gave up. I think they are. I hope you'll think so too. Don't contact me. Don't try to find me. This part of your life is over. Move forward. Live loudly. Make this sacrifice mean something. Evelyn. Daniel folded the letter. Shoved it back in the envelope. He felt tears on his face but didn't wipe them away. For the next 4 hours, he sat in that waiting room, thinking about choices and consequences, about power and powerlessness, about the things people do in the dark that make the light possible. At 12:34 p.m., Dr. Patel entered the waiting room. She was in her 50s, confident posture, kind eyes. Mr. Rivera? Daniel stood. How is she? The surgery went perfectly. We replaced the valve. Her heart is strong. With medication and lifestyle changes, she should have many more years. Daniel's legs almost gave out. Can I see her? She's in recovery now. Still sedated. But in about an hour, you can sit with her. She'll be groggy when she wakes up, but she'll be okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Patel smiled. She's lucky to have a son like you. Not many young men would fight this hard. Daniel nodded, unable to speak. The doctor left. He sat back down. Put his head in his hands. And cried. Not from sadness. Not from relief. But from the weight of knowing he had saved his mother's life by destroying something in himself. And he didn't know yet if that trade was fair. Spring came. Daniel's mother recovered better than anyone expected. She went to physical therapy 3 times a week. Lost weight. Quit smoking. Laughed more. She moved into a better apartment, one Daniel could now afford thanks to the money in his account. Money he told her came from a scholarship. A lie that tasted like ash but was easier than the truth. Daniel went back to school. His grades improved. Not because he was smarter, but because he didn't have to work 3 jobs anymore. He could study. Sleep. Focus. He stopped tutoring. Quit the grocery store. Kept the coffee shop job because he liked the routine. The manager, Rosa, noticed the change. You look better, Mijo. Less tired. I am. That scholarship you got, that was a blessing. Yeah. It was. But blessings aren't supposed to leave scars. Daniel had scars now. Not physical ones. The kind that lived in the space between sleep and waking. The kind that showed up when he was with someone and they touched him and he flinched. The kind that made him shower twice a day because he still felt dirty. He tried dating. Met a girl in his anatomy class. Sarah. Sweet. Smart. Pretty. They went out twice. On the second date, she invited him back to her place. They kissed on her couch. Her hands moved to his shirt. He pulled away. I'm sorry. I can't. It's okay. We can take it slow. No, I mean, I can't. Not now. Maybe not for a while. She looked confused. Did something happen to you? I don't want to talk about it. Okay. But if you ever do, I'm here. He never called her again. It was easier to be alone than to explain why he couldn't let anyone close. His friend Marcus noticed too. They were having lunch in the campus cafeteria when Marcus said, "You're different, man." "What do you mean?" "I don't know. Quieter. Like you're always somewhere else." "I'm just focused on school." "It's more than that." "Did something happen?" "With your mom?" "She's fine. Surgery went great." "Then what?" Daniel looked at his friend. Thought about telling him. Thought about what Evelyn's letter said about secrets being too heavy to share. "Nothing. I'm just tired." Marcus didn't look convinced. "All right. But you know you can talk to me, right? Whatever it is." "I know. Thanks." But Daniel didn't talk. Not to Marcus. Not to anyone. He carried it alone, the way Evelyn said he should. Some days it felt manageable. Other days it felt like drowning. He threw himself into school. Volunteered at the free clinic downtown. Saw patients who couldn't afford care. Watched doctors turn people away because of insurance issues. And every time, he thought about his father. About his mother. About the system that made people choose between dignity and survival. He started to understand what Evelyn meant. That shame could become fuel. That guilt could become purpose. He wasn't sure if that made it better or worse. One evening in late April, he was at the clinic when an older woman came in. 70s. Homeless. She had an infected wound on her leg that had been festering for weeks. The attending physician looked at her chart. "Ma'am, we can clean and bandage this, but you need antibiotics. The prescription will cost about $60. Do you have insurance?" "No." "Do you have $60? "No." The doctor sighed. "I'm sorry. We can't dispense medication we don't have funding for." The woman stood to leave. Daniel caught the doctor's arm. "Wait. How much for a full course of antibiotics?" "About $80 with the consultation fee." Daniel pulled out his wallet. Handed the doctor his debit card. "Put it on this." The doctor looked surprised. "You don't have to do that." "I know. But I'm going to." They treated the woman. She cried when they told her it was paid for. Hugged Daniel. Thanked God. Daniel felt nothing. Just hollow. After she left, the attending physician, Dr. Morris, pulled Daniel aside. "That was generous. But you can't save everyone. You'll go broke trying." "Maybe. But I can save her. Today. Right now. That's enough." Dr. Morris studied him. "You've got the heart for this work. That's rare. Most pre-med students are just checking boxes. You actually care." "I have to." "Why?" "Because someone made a sacrifice for me. I owe it to them to make it matter." "Parent?" "Something like that." Dr. Morris clapped him on the shoulder. "Well, keep that fire. Medicine needs people like you." Daniel went home that night and looked at his bank balance. He'd spent $400 that month on other people's medical bills. Patients at the clinic. People he didn't know. Would never see again. He was giving away the money Evelyn had given him, redistributing it to people who needed it the way he'd needed it. It felt like penance. Like maybe if he saved enough people, the weight would lift. It never did. Daniel graduated top of his class. His mother cried at the ceremony. So did Marcus. So did Rosa from the coffee shop. Daniel smiled for photos. Accepted congratulations. Felt like an imposter. That night, alone in his apartment, he received an email from an unknown address. No subject line. Just a message: "Congratulations, Dr. Rivera. You kept your promise. The debt is cleared. Live well. E." He stared at the email for a long time. Then deleted it. 2 weeks later, he started medical school. 4 years ahead of him. Rotations. Boards. Residency. The long road to becoming the person his father wanted him to be. The person his mother believed he was. Medical school was brutal. 80-hour weeks. Constant exams. The pressure of knowing that mistakes cost lives. Daniel thrived. Not because he was the smartest, but because he understood suffering in a way his classmates didn't. When they studied diseases, they saw symptoms and treatments. Daniel saw people. Desperate people. Making impossible choices. His bedside manner was exceptional. Patients trusted him. Opened up to him. Told him things they didn't tell other doctors. One of his professors, Dr. Reeves, pulled him aside after rounds. "You have a gift, Rivera. The way you talk to patients. It's rare." "Thank you. Where does it come from?" "That empathy." Daniel thought about a mansion. A bedroom. A choice made in the dark. Experience. What kind? The kind that teaches you everyone is carrying something heavy. And sometimes just acknowledging that weight is more healing than medicine. Dr. Reeves nodded slowly. "Well, don't lose it. This profession will try to beat it out of you. Stay human." Daniel tried. But staying human when you're carrying a secret that wants to kill you is exhausting. He started having nightmares. Always the same one. He was back in that bedroom. But this time, when he tried to leave, the door was locked. And Evelyn stood there, smiling, saying, "You can never leave. This is who you are now." He'd wake up sweating. Heart racing. In his 3rd year of medical school, he did a rotation in cardiology. Which meant working with Dr. Patel. The surgeon who had saved his mother. She didn't remember him. Why would she? She did dozens of surgeries a year. But Daniel remembered her. One day, they were reviewing a case. A patient who needed valve replacement but couldn't afford it. Insurance denied. "What do we do?" Daniel asked. Dr. Patel closed the file. "We document that we recommended surgery. We note the insurance denial. And we send them home to die. That's it. That's the system. The system is broken." "Yes. It is. And you can spend your career angry about it, or you can work within it and save the people you can save." Daniel thought about his mother. What if someone offered to pay? Anonymously. Dr. Patel looked at him. That would be highly unusual. But if a donor came forward, we'd accept it. Why? Do you know someone? Maybe. That week, Daniel paid for the surgery. $14,000 from his account. The money Evelyn gave him. The patient lived. Daniel felt nothing. He kept doing it. Different hospitals. Different patients. Always anonymously. His bank account drained slowly. He didn't care. The money felt cursed. Like blood money. Giving it away was the only way to wash it clean. By his 4th year, he'd given away almost all of it. $37,000 spent on strangers. His mother asked him once, "Baby, how are you affording school? That scholarship can't cover everything." "I'm careful with money, Mama. You're just like your father. Always taking care of everyone else." If she only knew. Daniel graduated medical school. Matched into a residency at Memorial Hospital. The same hospital where his mother had her surgery. The same hospital where he'd met Evelyn in a stairwell. He walked those halls now wearing a white coat. Dr. Daniel Rivera. People called him doctor. Asked his opinion. Trusted him with their lives. And every day, he wondered if they'd still trust him if they knew. If they knew what he'd done to get here. What he'd sold. What he'd become. Daniel was good at his job. Exceptional, even. By his third year of residency, he was the one younger residents looked up to. The one attendings trusted with complex cases. He worked in the ER mostly. The front lines. Where people came in broken and desperate. Where every shift was a gamble between life and death. He saw everything. Overdoses. Gunshot wounds. Car accidents. Heart attacks. Strokes. And every patient had a story. A life that led them to that moment. A family waiting to hear if their loved one would survive. Daniel treated them all the same. Rich or poor. Insured or not. Because he remembered what it felt like to be powerless. One night, a kid came in. 17. Overdose. His mother was in the waiting room, screaming, begging God for another chance. Daniel worked on the kid for 40 minutes. Pumped his stomach. Narcan. Fluids. The kid's heart stopped twice. They got it back both times. When he was stable, Daniel went to talk to the mother. She grabbed his hands. Is he alive? Yes. He's going to make it. She collapsed. Just fell to her knees sobbing. Thank you. Thank you. He's all I have. His father died 2 years ago. It's just been us. He's been so lost. But he's alive. He's alive. Daniel helped her up. Got her water. Sat with her while she called family. And when she left to see her son, Daniel went to the break room and cried. Because he saw himself in that kid. Saw someone making bad choices because the pain was too heavy. Saw someone whose mother loved them enough to fall apart. He called his own mother that night. Danny. It's late. You okay? Yeah, Mama. Just wanted to hear your voice. You sound tired, baby. Are they working you too hard? No more than usual. How are you feeling? Good. Real good. I went dancing last week. Can you believe that? Me. Dancing. Daniel smiled. That's great, Mama. It's because of you, you know. Because you fought for me. Because you didn't give up. His throat tightened. I love you, Mama. I love you too, baby. More than you'll ever know. When he hung up, he thought about that night. 3.5 years ago. The choice he made. The line he crossed. And he wondered, if he could go back, knowing everything he knew now, would he make the same choice? The answer terrified him. Because it was yes. He'd do it again. Not because he was noble. Not because he was strong. But because watching his mother die when he could save her wasn't an option. Even if saving her cost him everything. That realization changed something in him. He stopped feeling like a victim. Stopped hating Evelyn. Stopped hating himself. He'd made a choice. It was ugly. Complicated. Stained with shame. But it was his. And it led to this. To him standing in an ER at 3 a.m, saving a kid's life, giving a mother her son back. If that night in that mansion was the price for this moment, then maybe it was worth it. Maybe. He started sleeping better. The nightmares didn't stop completely, but they came less often. He could let people touch him again without flinching. Started dating a nurse named Maya. She was patient with him. Didn't push. Seemed to understand that he had walls and they came down slowly. One night, lying in her bed, she asked, "What happened to you?" "What do you mean?" "You carry something. I can see it. Like you're always bracing for impact. Everyone carries something. Not like you." He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, "I did something once. Something I'm not proud of. But it saved someone I love. And I don't know if that makes it right or just makes me good at justifying bad choices. Do you regret it? Every day. And not at all. Both at the same time. Maya kissed his shoulder. Whatever it was, it made you who you are. And who you are is someone who gives a damn. In this job, that's rare. Don't lose it. He didn't tell her the whole story. Maybe he never would. But it felt good to say even that much. To admit he wasn't perfect. That he'd crossed lines. To be accepted anyway. 6 months later, he asked her to marry him. She said yes. They got married at a courthouse with his mother, Marcus, and a handful of friends. Simple. Quiet. Perfect. His mother cried. Happy tears this time. Your father would be so proud, she whispered. You became everything he dreamed you'd be. Daniel hugged her. I'm just trying to make it mean something, Mama. You already have, baby. You already have. Dr. Daniel Rivera was 33 years old. An attending physician. Married. Considering starting a family. His mother was healthy. Active. Volunteering at her church. Living the life his father wanted for her. Everything looked perfect from the outside. And most days, it felt close to perfect. But there were still moments. Moments when Daniel saw an older woman with silver hair and his chest tightened. Moments when he was intimate with his wife and something in his mind went dark. Moments when he wondered if he'd ever be fully free. He started seeing a therapist. Dr. Klein. Older man. Kind eyes. Patient. What brings you in, Daniel? I'm not sure. I have a good life. Great, actually. But I feel like I'm pretending. Pretending to be what? Happy. Whole. Like I deserve what I have. They worked on it. Slowly. Daniel never told Dr. Klein the whole story. Just said he'd made a sacrifice once that saved his mother's life. A sacrifice that cost him something he couldn't name. Dr. Klein didn't push for details. Trauma doesn't need a detailed explanation to be valid, he said. Your body remembers even if your mind tries to forget. The work is integrating the experience. Accepting that it happened and that you survived. What if surviving isn't enough? What if I want to feel clean again? Clean is a moral judgment. You're not dirty, Daniel. You're human. Humans make choices in impossible situations. The question isn't whether the choice was right. The question is, can you live with it? Could he? Some days yes. Some days no. But he kept showing up. To therapy. To work. To his marriage. To his life. And slowly, the weight got lighter. Not gone. But manageable. One afternoon, Daniel was working in the ER when an ambulance brought in a woman. Early 60s. Cardiac arrest. They worked on her for 30 minutes. Got her back. Stabilized her. When Daniel checked her chart, his blood went cold. Evelyn Cross. He stood outside her room, staring through the glass. It was her. Older. Frilier. But unmistakably her. She was unconscious. Intubated. Machines breathing for her. Daniel's hands shook. He could walk away. Assign her to another doctor. Pretend he'd never seen her name. But he didn't. He walked in. Checked her vitals. Reviewed her scans. Massive heart attack. Significant damage. She'd need surgery. Maybe wouldn't survive it. He called the cardiac surgeon on call. Explained the situation. They scheduled her for emergency surgery in 2 hours. Daniel sat beside her bed. Looked at her face. She looked smaller than he remembered. Vulnerable. Human. "Why did you do it?" he whispered. "Why me?" She couldn't answer. Maybe she never would. The surgery took 6 hours. Daniel waited. He didn't know why. He should have gone home. Should have let another doctor handle the post-op. But he waited. At 11:47 p.m., the surgeon came out. She made it. Barely. But she's stable. We'll know more in the next 48 hours. Can I see her? You're her doctor. Something like that. They let him in. Evelyn was in the ICU. Still unconscious. Still on machines. Daniel pulled up a chair. "I became a doctor," he said quietly. "Like you said I would. I finished school. I help people. I save lives. And I hate you for what you did to me. But I'm also sitting here making sure you don't die. So I guess that means something." He stayed for an hour. Then went home. Told Maya he'd had a long shift. Didn't mention Evelyn. For the next 3 days, Daniel monitored her recovery. She woke up on the second day. Groggy. Confused. She saw him standing at the foot of her bed. Recognition flickered in her eyes. "Daniel." Her voice was weak. Hoarse from the intubation. "Miss Cross. You're my doctor." "One of them." She closed her eyes. "That's poetic. Or cruel. I can't decide which. How are you feeling?" "Like I died." "Did I?" "For a few minutes. We brought you back. Maybe you shouldn't have." Daniel checked her monitors. "You had a massive heart attack. You'll need cardiac rehab. Lifestyle changes. You're lucky to be alive." "Lucky." She laughed. It turned into a cough. "I don't believe in luck. Just consequences." "Then this is a consequence." "Of what?" "Living the way you lived. Using people. Playing God." Evelyn opened her eyes. Looked at him. "You're angry." "I've been angry for 5 years. Yet you saved my life. It's my job." "Is that the only reason?" Daniel didn't answer. Evelyn shifted slightly. Winced. "I've thought about you, you know. Wondered if you made it. If you became what you said you'd become." "I did." "No thanks to you." "That's not true. You're only standing here because of that night. Because of the choice you made." Daniel's jaw clenched. "You manipulated me. You took advantage of my desperation. I gave you an option. You took it. That's not how power works. You had all of it. I had none. That's not a choice. That's coercion." Evelyn was quiet for a moment. "You're right." Daniel blinked. "What?" "You're right. I did have all the power. And I used it. And what I did to you was wrong." She took a shaky breath. "I told myself it was about understanding. About Michael. About grief. But the truth is, I was cruel. I wanted to feel something. Anything. And I used you to do it. I'm sorry." Daniel stood frozen. In 5 years, he'd imagined this conversation 1,000 times. In every version, he yelled. She defended herself. They fought. He never imagined she'd apologize. "Why now?" he asked. "Because I almost died. And when you're staring at the end, you can't lie anymore. Not to yourself. Not to anyone." She looked at him. "I destroyed something in you. I know that. I saw it that night. And I did it anyway. That makes me a monster. Not a curious person. Not a grieving mother. A monster. Daniel felt tears on his face. You ruined me. I know. I can't be touched without flinching. I can't be intimate without remembering. I can't look at myself without seeing what I did. I know. And you're sorry. That's it. That's supposed to fix it. No. Nothing fixes it. That's the point. Some things can't be fixed. They can only be survived. And you survived, Daniel. You're here. You're a doctor. You're helping people. You turned your trauma into purpose. That doesn't erase what I did. But it means you won. You took the worst thing that ever happened to you and you made it mean something. Daniel wiped his face. I didn't do it for you. I know. You did it for your mother. For your father. For yourself. That's why it worked. Evelyn closed her eyes again. I'm tired. You should go. Daniel turned to leave. Daniel. He stopped. I'm proud of you. I know I have no right to be. But I am. He left without responding. That night, he told Maya everything. They sat on their couch, and he told her about his mother's illness. About the stairwell. About Evelyn's offer. About the night he spent in that mansion. About the shame he'd carried for 5 years. Maya listened. Didn't interrupt. Didn't judge. When he finished, she held his hand. Thank you for telling me. You're not disgusted. No. You were 22. Desperate. Powerless. She was an adult with resources who manipulated you. That's not your shame to carry. That's hers. I said yes. Because she made it impossible to say no. That's not consent, Daniel. That's survival. Daniel broke down. Sobbed in a way he hadn't since that night. Maya held him. You're not dirty. You're not broken. You're a survivor. And you took something horrible and you turned it into a career saving lives. That's not weakness. That's strength. They sat like that for an hour. When Daniel finally pulled away, he felt lighter. Not clean. But lighter. I need to forgive myself, he said. I need to let it go. You will. It takes time. But you will. Daniel visited Evelyn twice more before she was discharged. The first time, he brought her medical chart. Explained her recovery plan. Medication. Diet. Exercise. She listened. Asked questions. Treated him like a doctor. Not like someone she'd hurt. The second time, he came at the end of his shift. Sat in the chair beside her bed. I need to ask you something, he said. All right. If you could go back, would you do it differently? Evelyn thought for a long time. Yes. I would. I'd find another way to feel powerful. Another way to process my grief. I wouldn't use you. But you did. But I did. She turned to look at him. Can I ask you something? Go ahead. If you could go back, would you make the same choice? Daniel had asked himself that question 1,000 times. Yes. I'd save my mother. No matter what it cost. Even knowing what you know now. The nightmares. The shame. The years of carrying it. Yes. Why? Because love isn't conditional. My mother gave me life. Sacrificed everything for me. When it was my turn to sacrifice for her, I did. And I'd do it again. Evelyn nodded slowly. Then maybe we're both monsters. Or maybe we're both just human. What's the difference? Monsters don't regret. Humans do. And we both regret, don't we? Every day. Then we're human. Just broken ones. Daniel stood. I hope your recovery goes well, Miss Cross. Daniel, wait. He turned. I meant what I said. I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry. Truly. For whatever that's worth. It's worth something. Not everything. But something. He left. Evelyn was discharged 3 days later. Daniel never saw her again. But 6 months later, he received a letter. Handwritten. Forwarded through the hospital. Daniel, I'm writing this from my home. The same home where we met 5 years ago. I'm recovered, physically at least. Emotionally is another story. I've started therapy. At 67. Better late than never, I suppose. My therapist asked me what I'd say to you if I could. So I'm saying it. You deserved better. You deserved a world where your mother's life didn't depend on money. Where your choices weren't between dignity and survival. You deserved to be 22 and hopeful, not 22 and desperate. I couldn't give you that world. No one can. But I could have chosen not to make it worse. And I didn't. I made it worse. I used your desperation against you. That's unforgivable. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just acknowledging the truth. I've set up a foundation in Michael's name. It pays for medical care for families who can't afford it. It's funded entirely by my estate. When I die, everything goes to it. Millions of dollars. It won't undo what I did to you. But maybe it will help people like your family. People who shouldn't have to choose. I don't expect to hear from you. But if you ever need anything, medical or otherwise, contact my lawyer. He has instructions to help you. Not as payment. Not as absolution. Just because it's the right thing to do. Live well, Daniel. You earned it. E. Daniel kept the letter. Put it in a drawer. Didn't respond. But he looked up the foundation. It was real. The Michael Cross Foundation. Already helping dozens of families. Paying for surgeries. Medications. Treatments. Saving lives. It didn't erase what happened. But it meant something. Daniel was 38 now. 5 years after seeing Evelyn in the hospital. 10 years after that night. He was chief of emergency medicine at Memorial. Respected. Loved by his staff. Known for his compassion. His ability to see patients as people, not cases. He and Maya had 2 kids. A daughter, Maria, named after his father. A son, Marcus, named after his friend and his father. His mother was 67. Healthy. Happy. She babysat the kids twice a week. Told them stories about their grandfather. About how he fixed things. About how he loved them before they were even born. Daniel's life was full. Rich. Meaningful. But there were still nights. Nights when he lay awake and thought about that choice. About the boy he was and the man he became. About the price of survival. One night, Maria, who was 7, asked him a question at dinner. "Daddy, were you always brave?" Daniel smiled. "No, sweetheart. I wasn't." "When did you become brave?" "When I had to be. When someone I loved needed me to be." "What did you do?" Maya glanced at Daniel. He thought for a moment. "I made a choice that scared me. But I did it anyway. Because sometimes being brave isn't about not being scared. It's about being scared and doing the hard thing anyway." Maria thought about this. "Did it work?" "Yes, baby. It worked." "Good. I want to be brave like you." Daniel's throat tightened. "You already are." After the kids went to bed, Maya found Daniel in the backyard. He was staring at the stars. "You okay?" she asked. "Yeah. Just thinking. About? About how we become who we are. The choices that shape us. The things we survive." Maya sat beside him. "You know what I think?" "What?" "I think you're a good man who was put in an impossible situation. And you made the best choice you could. And you spent 10 years turning that choice into something beautiful. This life. This family. The people you save every day. That's not shame. That's redemption." Daniel looked at her. "Do you really believe that?" "I do. And I think it's time you believed it too." He kissed her. "I'm trying. That's all any of us can do." They sat there in the quiet. And for the first time in 10 years, Daniel felt something close to peace. Not forgiveness. Not acceptance. But peace. The kind that comes when you finally stop running from your past and start building your future. He thought about his father. About the promise he made. "I did it, Dad," he whispered to the stars. "I graduated. I became a doctor. I saved Mom. I'm saving others. I kept my promise." The stars didn't answer. But somewhere in the silence, Daniel felt a weight lift. Not completely. But enough. Enough to breathe. Enough to live. Enough to be the father his kids deserved. The husband Maya chose. The doctor his patients needed. Enough to be human. Flawed and scarred and still standing. That night, Daniel slept without nightmares. 2 years later, Daniel received news that Evelyn Cross had died. Peacefully, in her sleep. She was 70. Her lawyer contacted him. Asked if he'd attend the funeral. Daniel didn't. But he sent flowers. White lilies. The card read, "You were complicated. So am I, rest easy." At the reading of her will, Daniel learned something he didn't expect. She'd left him something. Not money. A letter. And Michael's painting. The one from the photo album. The lawyer handed Daniel the sealed envelope and a canvas wrapped in brown paper. Daniel opened the letter first. "Daniel, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Good riddance, probably. But before I left, I wanted you to know something. You were right. What I did to you was wrong. And I spent the last years of my life trying to make amends. Not to you specifically, though I hope the foundation helps. But to myself. To Michael. To the universe. I don't believe in God, but I believe in balance. I took something from you. So I spent my remaining years giving. The foundation has helped 247 families so far. Paid for surgeries, medications, treatments. Because of you. Because of what you went through. Those families don't know your name. But they're alive because you survived. The painting is Michael's last work. He finished it a week before he died. It's called The Weight of Pretending. I'm giving it to you because I think you understand it in a way no one else can. You both know what it's like to be someone you're not to survive. The difference is, you found a way to live with it. He didn't. Honor his memory by continuing to live loudly. By being the person he didn't get the chance to be. Authentic. Brave. Unapologetically alive. Thank you for saving my life that night in the hospital. You didn't have to. But you did. That's the difference between us. When you had power over me, you chose compassion. When I had power over you, I chose cruelty. You're a better person than I ever was. I hope you know that. Live well, Dr. Rivera. You earned every moment of joy you have. E. Daniel unwrapped the painting. It showed a young man standing in front of a mirror. But his reflection was different. Older. Sadder. carrying the weight of 1,000 unspoken truths. It was beautiful. Heartbreaking. True. Daniel hung it in his office at the hospital, where he could see it every day. A reminder. Of Michael. Of Evelyn. Of that night. Of the choice he made. Of the person he became. Nurses asked about it. Who painted that? A friend, Daniel said. Someone who understood what it means to survive. And that was true. In a way. Years passed. Daniel's kids grew. His mother aged gracefully. His career flourished. The foundation kept helping families. And Daniel kept saving lives. One patient at a time. One choice at a time. He never forgot that night. The shame never completely disappeared. But it transformed. Became fuel. Became purpose. Became the reason he fought so hard for people who couldn't fight for themselves. On his 50th birthday, his daughter Maria, now 20, asked him a question. Dad, what's the hardest thing you've ever done? Daniel thought for a long time. I made a choice once that saved someone I loved. But it cost me something I can never get back. Was it worth it? He looked at his daughter. His son. His wife. His mother, still alive, still laughing. Yes, he said. It was worth it. What did it cost? Something shifted. A weight Daniel had carried for 28 years finally lifted. Not gone. But lighter. He went inside. Kissed his wife. Checked on his kids. Went to bed. And slept peacefully. Because he'd finally learned the truth. That survival isn't shameful. That choices made in desperation don't define your worth. That you can carry darkness and still be light. That being broken doesn't mean you can't heal. That sometimes the hardest thing and the right thing are the same thing. And that love, real love, the kind that makes you cross lines you swore you never would, that love is the most powerful force in the universe. More powerful than shame. More powerful than regret. More powerful than anything. His mother lived because of that love. And so did he. So tell me. What would you have done in Daniel's place? Was he a victim or a survivor? Was Evelyn a villain or a broken person doing broken things? Do you think desperation justifies our choices, or do our choices define who we really are? How would you feel if you were Daniel, sitting in that stairwell, holding that business card, knowing what accepting would cost? How would you feel if it was your mother, your father, your child dying, and someone offered you a way to save them? What line wouldn't you cross for love? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Tell me where you stand. And if this story made you think, made you feel, made you question everything you thought you knew about right and wrong, about power and powerlessness, about the choices we make in the dark that make the light possible, then hit that subscribe button. Because we tell stories here that don't give you easy answers. We tell stories that reflect the complicated, messy, beautiful, tragic truth of being human. Stories about the choices that haunt us and the strength it takes to keep living anyway. And the next story? It might be even harder to hear. But you'll listen. Because now you know. Life isn't about good people and bad people. It's about people. Just people. Making impossible choices. And living with the consequences. Thank you for staying till the end. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being brave enough to sit with discomfort. That's how we grow. That's how we understand. That's how we become more human. See you in the next one.